Hello and welcome to Insight Ophthalmology. This is Dr. Amrit, welcoming you to another lecture. Today we are studying the hypertensive retinopathy. Hypertension can actually cause three main diseases in the eye. It can cause retinopathy, that means when it affects the retina. Then if it affects the optic nerve, it causes optic neuropathy, and when it affects the choroid, it causes choroidopathy. Apart from that, it can also cause the branched retinal artery occlusion, central retinal artery occlusion, branched retinal vein occlusion, central retinal vein occlusion. So as you can see, the hypertension is basically a disease of the blood vessels, and basically it is causing the occlusion of these blood vessels, whether it is the arteries or it is the veins. Now, before we go into the details of hypertensive retinopathy, I want you to know briefly about the classification given by the American College of Cardiology and the American Heart Association about hypertension. So in this, the first category is the elevated blood pressure. The elevated blood pressure is when the systolic blood pressure is 120 to 129 mm of Hg and the diastolic blood pressure is less than 80 mm of mercury. Stage 1 hypertension is defined as systolic blood pressure of 130 to 139 millimeters of mercury and diastolic blood pressure of 80 to 89 millimeters of mercury. Stage 2 hypertension is defined as systolic BP of more than 140 mm of mercury and diastolic BP of more than 90 mm of mercury. So for easy remembrance, you can remember that the difference between each of these is about 10 mm. So from 120 to 129 is again about approximately 9, and then again this is 9 and this is again 10 difference. So approximately 9 to 10 difference, 10 mm of mercury difference is present. Now, how does hypertension cause retinopathy or other diseases in the eye? Now, hypertension can basically cause two main effects in the eye. It can either cause an acute effect or it can cause a chronic effect in the eye. So when the hypertension or when the blood pressure is raised acutely, it basically causes vasospasm due to the process of autoregulation. Now, as the blood pressure rises, what happens is that the blood flow to the particular organs will also rise. Now, in order to limit that excessive blood flow to the organs, the blood vessels try to undergo vasoconstriction to decrease the amount of blood supply, or you can say to regulate the amount of blood supply which is going to particular organs. So this process is called autoregulation, by which the vessels will actually undergo vasoconstriction or vasospasm, and this happens in response to an acute rise in the blood pressure. However, when the BP or the blood pressure is raised chronically, what we have is actually thickening of the blood vessels, which is called the atherosclerosis. Now, what are the phases of hypertensive retinopathy? The phases of hypertensive retinopathy can be divided into the vasoconstrictive phase, the sclerotic phase, and the exudative phase. So what is meant by this vasoconstrictive phase? Now, as I told you that in the acute phase, there will be autoregulation which is seen in the blood vessels, and because of the autoregulation, there will be vasospasm or vasoconstriction. So this elevated luminal pressure or the blood pressure will cause local autoregulatory mechanisms to cause the retinal arteriole narrowing and vasospasm, leading to the reduced blood flow. So initially, you are going to see this generalized vasospasm. Now, at this point, I would like to tell you that the normal AV ratio, that is the artery to the vein ratio, which is a ratio comparing the diameters of the arterioles and the venules in the fundus, is about 2:3. So this is the normal ratio. However, you can see in this picture, this ratio is nowhere near the 2:3. The veins are looking much thicker and the arteries are much thinned out because of the vasospasm. And this indicates the first phase of hypertensive retinopathy. However, sometimes after generalized constriction, there can also be one more thing which can happen is only a particular vessel might actually undergo constriction, and that is called the focal vasospasm or focal vasoconstriction. Now, as you can see over here, these are the veins which are present, and Then you can see adjacent to that, this is the artery, and you can see this part of the artery is almost lost because of vasospasm. Similarly, here there's a focal vasoconstriction or vasospasm which is seen, and this is the vasoconstrictive phase of hypertensive retinopathy. Coming to the second phase of hypertensive retinopathy, and this is the sclerotic phase of hypertensive retinopathy. In this, what happens is that, as we already know, that the layer of blood vessels are the intima, the tunica media, and the tunica adventitia. So what happens because of the chronically elevated blood pressure is that the innermost layer of the blood vessel, which is called tunica intima, is going to undergo thickening. Similarly, the blood vessel, the tunica media, which consists of the smooth muscle cells, which are constantly acting and causing vasoconstriction, they are also going to increase in the size and number, which will cause medial hyperplasia, and the adventitia and the middle part again will be replaced by the hyaline tissue. So all of this is going to cause thickening of the blood vessel, and this thickening of the blood vessel is actually caused the sclerotic phase of the hypertensive retinopathy. Now what happens because of the sclerotic phase is that there will be thickening, and the lumen of the blood vessel will actually undergo decrease in the size, and there will be narrowing of the blood vessels. Because of that narrowing, the blood flow to the retina or the choroid for that matter will go down. Now apart from that, there will also be certain AV crossing changes, that means changes which are occurring at points where the arteries are crossing the veins. And apart from that, we are going to see different signs like the silver wiring and the copper wiring. So at this point, let me just mention to you what is meant by silver wiring and copper wiring. So just have a look at these picture. Now in a normal retina in which we do not have sclerotic changes, what happens is that we will see just the vessel will be seen as reddish in color, because we will be seeing the flow of blood or the blood column itself. However, as the vessels will undergo thickening, what happens is that this thickened vessel wall is now going to start reflecting the light that is thrown onto the retina, and because of that reflection of the light, now the column of the blood flow will not be visible. The inner blood flow column will not be visible, but we are going to see the vessel wall, and that reflex which is coming from the vessel wall is going to give you all those features of copper wiring and silver wiring. So in the initial thickening of the wall phase, when you see these this yellowish color reflex, that is called the copper wiring of the vessel. Whereas when the sclerosis gets very much advanced, when the thickening of the vessel gets advanced, almost the entire light is going to get reflected, and you are going to see an entirely whitish looking vessel, and that is called a silver wiring of the vessel. Similarly, you can see over here, this is still, you can see some reddish part in the vessel, and you are getting a yellow reflex, so that is the copper wiring. And when it becomes totally whitish in color, as you can see over in this segment of the vessel, that is the silver wiring of the vessels. Now let us discuss about the arteriovenous signs or the AV signs. Now in the normal blood vessels, what happens is that the arteries and veins will rarely cross, and when they cross, there won't be much signs. However, in case of hypertensive retinopathy, because the arteries are undergoing all the thickening and sclerosis, as these arteries are going to cross over the veins, which means arteriovenous crossing, there will be certain morphological changes which will occur in the veins, and these morphological changes are called the AV signs. Now under the headings of AV signs, we have three signs basically. We have the gun sign, the bonnet sign, and then we have the salu sign. So what is meant by each of them? Let us see. So first let us discuss what is meant by the salu sign. Now normally you can see that this is the vein over here, and this is the artery, and in normal condition, when the artery is not thickened, the vein is going to follow its path like this. However, when the artery is thickened, say this is the vein over here, and when the thickened artery is passing over that vein, the vein is now going to get deflected towards this side instead of passing straight. So this deflection of the veins which actually occurs because of the passage of a thickened artery on top of it is referred to as the salu's sign. Now next sign is the gun sign or in gun sign, what happens is as the thickened arteries are passing over the veins, what happens is that the veins are going to get narrowed in the part where the arteries have compressed them. So those narrowed parts which are seen over here will represent the Gun's sign. Now what is meant by the bonnet sign? Bonnet sign is a little bit opposite of Gun sign, in which what happens is that when the vein, the artery is crossing the vein, the distal part of the vein will get dilated, and that dilated segment and the dilated sign is called the Bonnet's sign. So these three signs are very important arteriovenous signs. So you can see in this picture here there is actually narrowing. Okay, so this is the Gun sign, and this is the salu sign, which is showing the deflection of the vein. And so basically the vein was supposed to go like this, and because of the crossing of the artery, now the vein has got deflected slightly. And then there is this here, there is a dilatation of the vein, which is the Bonnet's sign. Now apart from the the vasoconstrictive phase, the sclerotic phase, the third phase of hypertensive retinopathy is the exudative phase. In the exudative phase, because of the chronic elevated blood pressure and because of the endothelial changes, the blood retinal barrier will get disturbed, and so because of that breakdown of the blood retinal barrier, there will be leakage of the plasma and blood, which will cause exudation, and that's the reason it is called exudative phase. Now in exudative phase, basically you will have hemorrhages, that is it can be dot plot hemorrhages if they are occurring deeper in the retina, or they could be flame shaped hemorrhages if they are occurring in the nerve fiber layer. Or we can have the cotton wool spots as well, and these cotton wool spots, as I told you in my video on cotton wool spots, they are secondary to the fibrinous necrosis and narrowing which occurs, because of which there will be ischemia of the retina leading to infarcts in the nerve fiber layer, and that is the cotton wool spot. Now this pictures over here represents the exudative phase of hypertensive retinopathy. So here you can see these are the cotton wool spots. Here you can see certain flame shaped hemorrhages, certain dot blot hemorrhages, and then in the later stages you can also see these exudations which are nothing but the hard exudates organized in the form of a star. In this case it's not a complete macular star, it's an incomplete macular star, and if you want to know more about the macular star and the hard exudates, I would advise you to see my video on hard exudates. Similarly, this picture is also showing lots of cotton wool spots, and along with the cotton wool spots you can see there are hemorrhages, flame shape and dot blot hemorrhages as well. Now, as I told you, there can be ischemia in retina, and along with that there can be ischemia in the choroid as well. So hypertensive choroidopathy will happen because of hypertension. However, it is rare, but it can occur whenever the hypertension will rise acutely, specifically in cases of acute hypertensive crisis, also called accelerated hypertension in young adults. Now hypertensive crisis is basically a broad term or an umbrella term which is given to hypertension, which actually includes both hypertensive urgency and hypertensive emergency. In hypertensive urgency and emergency, basically both the cases the BP rises more than 180/110, and in one case, that is hypertensive urgency, there is no organ damage, and in emergency there is an imminent organ damage. So in those cases when the blood pressure rises acutely, specifically more than 180/110, there can be damage to the choroid, there can be ischemia to the choroid, and because why does that ischemia occur? It occurs because of the fibrinoid necrosis of the choroidal artery. So as you can see in this picture, this is the choroidal choriocapillaries, and those choriocapillaries are going to filled up with this fibrinoid necrotic material. Because they are getting filled up with this fibrinoid necrotic material, there will be segmental infarction of the choroid, because these blood vessels will not be able to supply the choroid and similarly the outer retina as well. Now because of that, there will be poor perfusion in the retina, and as this poor perfusion, we will have certain signs of hypertensive choroidopathy that we are going to see. So what are these signs? These will be Elschnig pearls, Seigriesst streaks, pigment epithelial detachment, and exudative retinal detachment. So let us see what are these one by one. So what is meant by these Elschnig spots? So as I told you, in choroidopathy, there is basically infarction of the choroid which is occurring. So in Elschnig spots, these infarct spots will be seen as, these focal choroidal infarcts will be seen as small hyperpigmented or small black spots, and they will be surrounded by yellow halos or hypopigmented halo. So you have a hyperpigmented dark area surrounded by a hypopigmented halo. So typical Elschnig pearl is seen over here. There's a black spot surrounded by the hypopigmented area. So multiple spots are seen in this picture. Then we have the Seigriesst streaks. These are nothing but, in this we have these flecks. These flecks are going to be arranged linearly along the choroidal vessels, and they basically indicate those vessels which are filled up with the fibrinoid necrosis, which I have shown you associated with malignant hypertension. So those fibrinoid necrotic vessels will be seen as these streaks, and these are nothing but the Seigriesst streaks. Now, apart from that, because of the hypertensive retinopathy, hypertensive choroidopathy, we can also have some pigment epithelial detachment, and those pigment epithelial detachment, and sometimes because of the exudation, we can also have exudative retinal detachment, which will usually be bilateral, and in most of the cases, they are usually associated with toxemia of the pregnancy. Now coming to the third manifestation of hypertension in the eye after hypertensive retinopathy and choroidopathy, it is the optic neuropathy because of hypertension, and therefore it is called hypertensive optic neuropathy. Now in this we will have optic disc edema, so there will be blurring of the disc margin. The pathophysiology is same, exudation, ischemia. Because of that ischemia also there will be optic disc swelling, and because of the exudation also there will be optic disc swelling. Apart from that, you will see this flame shaped hemorrhages, cotton wool spots, you will see congestion of the vessels. Sometimes the picture will look very similar to papilledema. Along with that, if the exudation is so much, you can see a macular star formation. You can see this is an incomplete macular star formation, which is complete towards the optic disc because all the exudation is coming from the optic disc. So this is the optic neuropathy. So in my next video, I shall be talking about the various classifications of hypertensive retinopathy. So that's all. Thank you and have a nice day.